Dragon Ball! Dragon Ball as a whole is my favorite TV series. Yes, there are shows with a lot less flaws, and it could be argued that counting 4.5 shows as one is a bit cheating, but I do not care. I love this world and the characters that inhabit it. I didn't grow up with Dragon Ball, and only first watched the series about 8 years ago, but I fell in love immediately. And since I first started Dragon Ball in December, and December is a pretty important month in the series, I wanted to dedicate the month of December each year to going through the Dragon Ball video games in whatever order I want. And this being the first year, I thought it was important to go through the history of the series as a whole, as well as look at the overview of the evolution of the games. I'm super excited to be celebrating Dragon Ball with you guys.
What about Christmas and all the other December holidays?
I'm actually glad you brought that up, bud. Truth is that unlike movies and TV shows, there is very little in terms of holiday-themed video games. There are a lot of games with Christmas as an element, but not many totally revolving around it. That combined with the fact that everyone celebrates different holidays this month, or just doesn't celebrate anything, I decided instead to just focus on something a little bit more neutral. So I hope you enjoy whatever holiday you celebrate, if you do celebrate. This is just an extra fun little bonus to this festive time of year.
You just wanted an excuse to use Dragon Ball music, didn't you?
Chala Head Chala is the greatest song of all time! So before we talk about the first game, let's give a refresher course on the history of the manga and the first anime series. Dragon Ball was a manga written and drawn by Akira Toriyama from 1984 to 1995. It spawned an anime adaptation that ran from 1986 to 1996. Split between two different series, and two anime sequel series, as well as multiple non-canon movies, books, and of course video games. Also an American live-action movie, but we don't talk about that. Huh? Scooter, I didn't mention Kingdom, I didn't mention it. Why is the alarm going off? Weird. Well, just turn it off and we'll see if we can figure out why it did that later. For this week, we'll briefly talk about what happened in the first half of the anime adaptation, the show that's just called Dragon Ball. It begins with our main character, Son Goku. He's 12 years old and has lived by himself in the woods since his grandfather Gohan passed away. He soon meets a 16-year-old girl named Bulma when, she hits him with her car and then tries to shoot him dead. As you do. Bulma is on a grand quest for the 7 Dragon Balls, a mystical orbs which, when gathered together, will summon a dragon that will grant you a single wish. And as luck would have it, Goku has one of the balls! And so the two decide to team up. Bulma to wish for her boyfriend, and Goku, basically because he's bored. Our heroes! Along the journey, Goku and Bulma meet some strange characters, get into some wacky situations, and eventually get captured. But, as it turns out, Goku becomes a great ape at the full moon and breaks them free. Before going on a small rampage. And here we find out the sad truth that Goku actually inadvertently killed his grandfather. The one night he didn't obey and he looked at the moon, he turned into a great ape and trampled him to death. And he doesn't even know. It's really sad, and it's something that's always stuck with me. Just that very tragic backstory being applied to a character that is generally so happy-go-lucky. It's something I really like. Well, that's the first arc. The rest of the arcs in the series, well, honestly, they're not as important for today, but summarized incredibly quickly, Goku studies under the Muten Roshi, or Master Roshi for you dub fans, becomes best friends with the greatest Dragon Ball character ever, Krillin. Goku fights in the Tenkaichi Budokai, or World Martial Arts Tournament, and barely comes in second. He then goes on to single-handedly destroy a terrorist organization, barely lose his second tournament, defeat the devil equivalent of his world, Piccolo, train under the god of this world, and finally, at the age of 18, win the tournament and become the strongest in the world. Then he got married because he was hungry. I swear that makes sense in context. But yeah, that's a very abbreviated summary of the original Dragon Ball series. At its heart, it's the story of Goku growing up both physically and, to a degree, emotionally. He is forced to deal with death and its consequences. Or lack thereof, thanks to the Dragon Balls. And eventually becomes Earth's champion. But never losing that spark of innocence and youthful joy that is the hallmark of Goku. Okay, now that we've spent probably way too long talking about the original series and the main character, let's talk about video games itself, shall we? The very first Dragon Ball game that came out was actually in 1986 for a Japan-only console called the Super Cassette Vision. The name of the game was Dragon Ball Dragon Daihikyo, I believe it's called. Yeah, I don't own this. It's super rare, expensive, and I have absolutely no way to play it. You can't even really emulate it from what I understand. So yeah, I have no footage of that. I've never played it. This is even before Bandai got the license to Dragon Ball games, so let's just do what they do and pretend that this game didn't exist. But when Bandai did get the license, we got
Dragon Ball Shenron no Nazo was released for the Famicom in 1986, exclusively for Japan, in case you couldn't tell. Considering that the anime hadn't even been out for a year yet, needless to say, the game doesn't cover too much. It really only covers the first arc and a weird hybrid of original nonsense and casual racism, as well as the first tournament arc. However, it does do a pretty decent job of hitting the major parts of the first arc. Though not always faithfully. The original stuff is also incredibly weird, as you go to space and refight Monster Carrot, a one-time foe for Goku's. You even fight an evil alien clone of Krillin or something. I have absolutely no idea what happens with the story. Also, did I mention the racism? One cool feature is the Dragon Balls. When you collect all 7 Dragon Balls in the story, you get to choose the wish. It's cool in theory, at least. In execution, it's 4 pretty useless options. And this happens twice in the game for some reason.
So those Dragon Ball fans out there who aren't familiar with these early games might be surprised to see that this is not a fighting game. Yeah, it actually took a very long time for Dragon Ball to start making fighting games. So instead they decided to go with the very bold choice of making one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. Also, yeah, I don't actually have a physical copy with me. It's somewhere in storage. I'm sorry.
Holy crap, this game is awful. It's a weird isometric platformer for the most part, and it honestly doesn't work that well. But you can get used to it. You might even get used to the side-scrolling boss battles that basically shift into another genre with no warning and has terrible hit detection. What you won't get used to, though, is the hunger system. As you play the game, your health will constantly decrease as time passes.
On the one hand, I actually kind of like this trait from a lore perspective, because Goku is very well known to having a pretty big appetite, and especially in those early chapters, if he got hungry, his stamina dropped to 0. However, as a game mechanic, this is terrible!
Taking hits also reduces health, of course, but just walking or even standing still will steadily drain the health. You can find food in the levels or drops from enemies to refill the health, but it's still dropping. Maybe if instead of health it had a stamina bar or draining, it could work. So you could still fight, but you'd be weaker if it ran out. Yeah, I actually do kind of like that idea. But your health? I can barely get anywhere in the game with it, so I turned to Game Genie to try to find infinite health or something. And for whatever reason, the codes did not seem to work with the Japanese game here, so yeah, that was pretty much a failure all around.
To be fair, this game wasn't from my generation. And I'm sure kids of that time, and especially in Japan who are big fans of Dragon Ball, really enjoyed being able to play a Dragon Ball game on their Famicom. And you know what? I'm glad they were able to get enjoyment where I couldn't. However, some of you American fans from back then might actually recognize some of this game footage. And that's because this game was adapted in America as
In 1988, about a decade before Dragon Ball exploded in popularity in America, a Bandai released Dragon Power. Dragon Power was just Shenron no Nazo with all the Dragon Ball elements scrubbed away and changed. and censorship, because apparently you can't have an old pervert gawking at panties in an American kids game.
My parents are probably staring at my Dragon Ball collection in absolute horror after hearing that. They won't take you, my babies.
Unfortunately, that means that what little charm you might get from experiencing Dragon Ball's first arc in an old school video game is kinda lost. What you're left with is a terrible game with frustrating mechanics without any of the justifying reasons to play it. The English translation of it is kind of funny, though. Like I said before, it changed panties into sandwiches, but it also changed most of the names, with Bulma becoming Nora and the Dragon Balls becoming Crystal Balls. It's funny, but frankly, not worth playing for that alone.
Look, the game sucks whether you call it Shenron no Nazo or Dragon Power. It's clear that the Dragon Ball franchise had nowhere to go but up in terms of video games. Though again, if you did enjoy this as a kid, or even somehow now, I'm very glad you're able to get enjoyment where I couldn't. But next time we're going to be jumping to the world of Tournament Fighters with the Super Potoden trilogy, so definitely be looking forward to that. Alright, Scooter, try to figure out where that alarm came from and whatnot. I'm gonna go get dressed. Thanks, bud. Scooter, what is it, bud? Did you figure... Scooter? Scooter! Scooter, where are you?
Who?
Scooter, my little droid, my friend.
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
The astromech droid, EB. R2D0D. Scooter.
It's just us here.
What do you mean you can't What's happening? Scooter, where are you?
What has happened with Scooter? Why doesn't EB remember him? Why is Tyler covering Dragon Ball games no one cares about? Find out in the next mediocre episode of the R2view.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry this one was delayed again, like a lot of them have been. I realize I'm probably the only person that cares, but still, I do care. But had some issues editing and getting some stuff and whatnot, but whatever. Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball, as you can probably tell. It's definitely one of my major interests here. And I am very excited to be talking about Dragon Ball games, even if they're kind of crap sometimes, like this one. Actually, most of them, now I'm thinking about it. I love Dragon Ball games, but most of them are not good. But regardless, that's not the point. The point is, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody out there, all my friends on Twitter, my family, and all that helped me. I greatly appreciate all of you. If you like it, comment, subscribe, like, add to random playlists, hit dislike, I guess, too, maybe, I don't know. Do what you want. Yeah, the next video hopefully will be out soon. I got most of the stuff ready for it, so it shouldn't take me as long to edit. As long as I can fall asleep at normal times. But I will catch you guys next time. And remember, be excellent to each other.